Every day, millions of developers type the same thing, SSH, and the address of a server on the other side of the world. A second later, they're in typing commands on a machine they could never physically touch across the same open internet everyone else is using. And almost everyone believes the same thing about how they just logged in, that somewhere in that second, their password or their secret key traveled across the network to the server which checked it and let them in. It's the obvious explanation. It's also wrong. When you log in with an SSH key, your password never leaves your computer, your private key never leaves your computer. Nothing secret crosses the network at all. And once you see how that's possible, SSH stops being a magic incantation you memorized and becomes one of the most elegant ideas in computing. To understand why SSH works the way it does, you have to go back to the problem it was built to solve. In the early 90s, if you wanted to log into a remote machine, you used tools like telnet, and telnet had a fatal flaw. It sent everything in plain text: your username, your commands, and your password. All of it traveled across the network as readable text. Anyone sitting between you and the server, on any machine your traffic happened to pass through, could simply read it. In 1995, a researcher named Tatu Welunen watched a password-sniffing attack sweep across his university network and wrote the first version of SSH in response. The goal was a connection that was secure in every way that mattered. No one could read it, no one could tamper with it without being noticed. You could be sure the server was really the server, and the server could be sure that you were really you. The remarkable part is how SSH pulls off all four, without ever trusting the network it runs on. The first thing that has to happen is building a private channel across a public wire. And here's the puzzle. If everything you send can be read by an eavesdropper, how do you and the server agree on a secret key to encrypt your conversation? You can't just send the key, they'd see it. The answer is one of the most beautiful tricks in cryptography, called a key exchange. Instead of sending a secret, both sides send each other public values, numbers that are useless on their own. Then each side combines the other's public value with its own private one. And through some deep mathematics, both ends arrive at the exact same secret, a secret that was never sent and never appeared anywhere on the network. Picture two people mixing paint. Each starts with a secret color, mixes in a shared public color, and swaps the mixtures out in the open. Then each stirs in their secret color again, and both end up with the identical final shade. Anyone watching saw only the mixtures crossing the wire, and they can't unmix them to find the secret. From that shared secret, both sides quietly derive the keys that encrypt everything from this point on, using fast, ordinary, symmetric encryption. The tunnel is open, and because those values were temporary, even if someone records your entire session and later steals the server's keys, they still can't go back and decrypt it. The secret is already gone. But a private tunnel isn't enough. You need to know who is on the other end of it, because an attacker could sit in the middle, build a perfectly encrypted tunnel with you, while quietly pretending to be the server. This is where that prompt you've definitely seen comes in. The authenticity of host can't be established. Are you sure you want to continue connecting? Most people just type yes and move on. But that message is telling you something important. Every server has its own identity, a long-term key called a host key. During the handshake, the server proves it owns that key by signing the conversation with it, and your computer checks the signature. The catch is that the very first time you connect, your computer has never seen this server's key before, so it has no way to know whether it's genuine. That prompt is your computer admitting, I can't vouch for this one yet. When you say yes, it saves the server's key in a file called known hosts, and from then on, every time you reconnect, it silently checks that the server's key still matches. If it ever changes, SSH throws a loud warning because that could mean someone is impersonating the machine you trust. Now, the tunnel is built and you trust the server. It's finally your turn to prove who you are. And this is where the real surprise lives. There are two ways to do it. The first is a password. And yes, with password authentication, your password really is sent to the server, but it's sent inside the encrypted tunnel you just built, so no one on the network can read it. The catch is that the server still receives your actual password. The second way, the way you should be using, never sends a secret at all. It's called public key authentication. It starts with a pair of keys, a private key that lives on your laptop and never ever leaves it, and a public key which you copy onto the server ahead of time. When you log in, the server doesn't ask for your private key. It can't. It never sees it. Instead, it sends your computer a challenge. Tied to this exact session, your computer signs that challenge with your private key, producing a signature that proves you hold the key without revealing it. The server checks that signature against the public key it already has. If it matches, you're in. Think about what just happened. You prove that you own a secret without ever sending the secret. The signature only works for this one session, so even if someone captured it, they could never reuse it. Your private key never touched the network. That is the whole reason key-based login is safer than a password. There's nothing reusable to steal, nothing to phish, and the key itself is so large that guessing it is hopeless. No computer on Earth could try every possibility before the sun burned out, and once that one idea clicks, the rest of SSH falls into place. That folder on your machine, .sh, suddenly makes sense. Your private key, the one you guard, your public key, the one you hand out. Known hosts, the list of servers you've learned to trust. And on the server, authorized keys, the list of public keys allowed in. There's even a helper called the ssh-agent that holds your unlocked key in memory and does the signing for you. So you're not retyping your passphrase all day, and notice even it never hands the key out. It only signs on your behalf. And the same encrypted tunnel can do far more than carry a shell. It can forward whole connections, letting you reach a database that only the server can see as if it were running on your own machine. But all of it rests on the same two ideas, a shared secret that no one ever sent, and an identity you prove by signing, not by revealing. So the next time you type SSH and you're instantly dropped into a machine across the planet, you'll know what actually happened. You didn't send your password, you didn't send your key, you and that server agreed on a secret the network never saw, and then you proved who you were without giving anything away. That's not magic, it's just a really good pattern.